Sup YouTube, welcome back to another video documenting my journey to legend. I woke up feeling incredibly toxic, so in today's video we are going to be looking at one of the most annoying Great League Pokemon, but in the Ultra League. I started noticing that a lot of teams were ABA weak to Charm, which is why Clefable is so good in the meta. However, a lot of safe swaps in this meta, if you've been playing it, are for Alligator or other Shadow Claw users, and the one thing that shuts those things down like Bastiodon shuts down an Altaria is Wigglytuff. So let's showcase what I mean exactly by that while we run through some battles. And in the beginning, I'm just going to run through a lot of the leads that I was seeing just to give you a kind of a case for how this team is supposed to work. It's not exactly RPS, but when you see something in the meta, when you can hard read the meta. Also, full disclosure, I have just reached rank 14, so I'm not at my elo just yet. But this is a good taste of what I was seeing. A lot of leads weak to fairies, and a lot of save swaps that were also weak to a normal type. So just, you know, it was pretty GG's off rip. I didn't win all of the leads that I managed to win because your boy does play like a typical bozo. This one's my favorite, save the best for last. They stay in, you know it's probably a dragon type in the back. So I didn't showcase my opponent's names because shit happens. Let's start off the video with some losses so that you know that this team isn't absolutely unstoppable. If we did run into an Empoleon, it would have been GG's off rip. But luckily, Empoleon did get nerfed, which is kind of sad because I do like that Pokemon. I think it has a lot of play. Yeah, we do manage to put in some work. My opponent shields that move and then decides to safe swap an Ampharos to take out my Wiggles, and that's fine. Here you're gonna make me make a bozo play. I go for the superpower because a Dragon Claw would not KO from that range, but honestly, I should have gone for the Dragon Claw on the off chance that they don't shield and then just farm down with Gator. I shouldn't have force locked myself here because now I'm gonna have to go down 2 shields. I'm gonna have to take a few extra Volt switches here. I do go 1 before they reach their next Brutal Swing because I wasn't sure if it would KO, and then they come in with Giratina. I go just before they make it to their Dragon Claw. They're at 5 now, and my only hope is that I can manage to catch, but we don't. And so I'm not going to be able to survive more enough charms to make it to the back-to-back, so I do bozo that game a bit, but obviously in hindsight you can always tell what you did wrong. Copium. They save swap a Drapion, and I also left this in because if I'm going to lose to any team, I'd like it to be a team that was made by Jamie Finn. So if you don't already suspect what this team is going to be, here I was expecting a shield because I thought they would want to retain swap. Unfortunately for me, this one, it just happened to be the opposite of what I should have done, right? In the previous one, I should have Dragon Clawed, and this one I should have superpowered. But even then, they have a Shadow Skunk in the back. So up 2 shields, if you just start trailblazing all of that damage, I'm pretty sure Alligator loses in the 2s. At that point, the poison jabs would have like ripped into Wiggles. So you're gonna see me full send this move and then do what a nice, polite person should do and top left. All right, how do you deal with an actual Pokemon that really core breaks this team? Clefable is by far the better fairy type. So if you don't have a Wigglytuff, right, because who the hell's rocking a 2200 Wiggles? This one is also best buddy boosted. I do manage to make it to an Icy Wind here. It's not going to KO. Wigglytuff has no attack. You're basically relying on RPS. We did lose that game, which is why I didn't leave it in. And I just wanted to show another Clefable that we ran into. Out of 25 battles, these were 2 of the battles. And I did manage to go on like a 20-5 run. I had like a 75% win rate or something like that. If they are rocking the standard moveset, they outpace you to the Swift, right? To your first move. So this is just such a shitty, atrocious lead to be in. And here they come into a Giratina. I'm going to tank 1 move. I may have or should have gone for the Ice Beam now in hindsight. But I decide to instead sack my Chibi Knight and try to get more farm with Alligator. And I think that was the correct play because now Giratina is chipped to all hell, and I can come back in with Alligator and get a nice juicy farm down since their switch timer won't be up yet. If they come back in with Clefable, I'm gonna farm up to just before. Maybe I should have done it to their Swift, because I am one Oh, wow. I actually am one shy. Oh my god. I would have won this game. Wow. See, it's good to see your battles in hindsight, and you should do that. Even if you don't make content, had I done the one extra, I would have been at the move, and I would have had enough health to survive this next karate chop, especially since my opponent basically threw the game at me. So we would have managed to win that game had the ending played out the same. If not, I probably still would have lost, even with that extra Shadow Claw of damage. Another really good lead, and they safe swap a Cobalion, which isn't exactly a response to Wigglytuff. However, Wiggles is half normal type, so you do take neutral damage from the Sacred Sword, unlike Clefable. So Clefable, now in hindsight, Clefable's probably the better swap. But you saw so many safe swap Shadow Claw users that it's just like, it's so hard not to try Wigglytuff. But if you do want to see success with this team, I would recommend using Clefable on the lead, keep Feraligatr as a safe swap, and use a third different Pokemon. I love Dragonite, which is why I use him, but this team would work so much better if you weren't ABA weak to Steel. So definitely something to consider if you do decide to try this team. I believe Registeel is another pairing that I saw on PV Poke that would pair well with the Wiggles. But we love the Wiggles Tuffles from Brussels. And my opponent stays in. I don't know why. They probably should have swapped out immediately and it would have been better for them. I know that one Dragon Claw doesn't KO, which is why I don't throw my energy. I've been learning that with Dragonite, you really want to be over farming, because Dragonite up a boatload of energy is more threatening than Dragonite that has nothing to its name. And in the back is Tapu Fini, and I think I played this out pretty well for an endgame, but my opponent definitely threw that game to me. If they had swapped into Giratina immediately and saved their Cobalion for a potential safe swap, this probably would have played out differently, but maybe they were thinking that they needed to play it out the way they did. I am almost at the back-to-back superpowers. They are like a bit away from the Surf, and we do manage to KO, and they basically die with the move. They were already low health, but they were one Shadow Claw away from the Dragon Claw. Okay, finally, a neutral matchup. How do I play this out? For the Charmers that aren't named Clefable, I stay in and either go for the Icy Wind, even against this typing, or go for the... Oh, never mind. I guess I go for the Disarming Voice. Look at me talking shit. I still don't take this Pokemon out, which is fine, but this is what's gonna really lock down or shut down my Dragonite. So this is kind of where best case scenario for me, get some energy. They're not gonna make it to a move. They basically die with it. And now I have Feraligatr up energy. I'm gonna look to CMP or CAP, which we do manage to get, and I'm expecting a shield, which is fine. But up this much energy, I'm kind of trusting that Dragonite won't be shut down in the back since they had such a hard response to it in the front. We do go for another CMP, CAP. I think I gotta get used to saying CAP because it is the Pokemon way of saying it. Even though everyone and their grandmother got accustomed to saying CMP, which sounds so much cooler, but whatever. And in the back is a Swampert, and this is GG's. My opponent should top left, but you know, I guess you can't fault everyone for trying to play it out. You know, like maybe there is some potential win con, and I go for the Dragon Claw just on the off chance that they do want to play this out, and they don't. We survive another Hydro, and GG's to my opponent. I actually, even though I kept tapping the screen, I forgot that Giratina was still alive. I was kind of just like in the zone. Another favorable lead for us, and they've safe swap in Ampharos. And here I make another mistake. I should have swapped immediately. They're going to go for the Trailblaze, which is fine. But now when I safe swap my Dragonite, now I'm going to be kaput. Because now they can go straight Brutal Swing. And this is going to suck because now you no longer outpace the Ampharos the way you used to. I should have thrown a move there. I think I was trying to CMP, but I was one over my count or one under. And so now I have to shield twice because I can't have Chestnut on Feraligatr. They bring in Walrein. I throw on alignment like an absolute bozo. And then, to add insult to injury, my opponent calls the freaking bait. So now I just got a full send. I'm expecting a shield. I should have gone for it on the first try. Probably would have made it to a Dragon Claw, maybe. But I do still have the alignment I need. And Earthquake doesn't KO Feraligatr. I'm going to make sure that they don't catch. They go one before it. And then I'm going to go for the Icy Wind. Because I'm expecting a shield, they probably could have committed to the Walrein. I also just saw the Pokemon documentary on YouTube for the Spheal. I think that one came out about a month ago. They had the Walrein one that came out. Sorry, the Wailord one that came out like a day ago. Really, really cute stuff. Really fun. They have the EQ right now. This doesn't KO, and my only hope is that I can CMP with their Icicle Spear and hope that this KOs. They're a non-shadow, and Walrein is type thick, but I think it just barely manages to do enough damage, and we managed to come back from my screw up. Tapu Fini, I really like this lead because Dragonite doesn't do too well in it, and typically in the back there is a Skeledirge or a Giratina. That's like the most common backline for a Tapu Fini lead. They go for the Nature's Madness, and I immediately swap into my safe swap, which is for Alligator, and it's met with a Gengar, which doesn't bode well for my opponent. I throw my move off immediately before they're able to get their move off. Those Shadow Claws are doing very distinguished damage. Some of them seem to be doing more than the others now that I'm looking at it. I throw my move immediately because I don't want to farm it down and go down another shield. I'd rather they make a decision and they end up deciding that they want to come back in with Machamp. They should have CMP'd me here instead of having to shield this move, but this is fine with me. They also could have gotten the cross chop off to get some damage on me, and I forgot that they didn't have their second shield. I forgot that they used it both on their Gengar and on their Machamp. I also think Machamp would have been a better play to come into because you do sort of outpace for Alligator, even though I was up just one Shadow Claw, and now I'm confident that I can farm it down, and I don't need to be playing any games here. I just go straight for the superpower. I win CMP most likely, especially considering my Chibi Knight has a slightly high attack. The reason I use the Chibi Knight and not an actual good IV one is because this one actually beats all the other dragon types. Most of the other dragon types. I mean, I have a bulk point against Guzzlord's Dragon Tail. I believe Dragalge's too. I might be coping on that one. Here my opponent doesn't build up to the Ice Beam, so I don't respect it. But now in hindsight, they're shielding their Feraligatr. I'm going to throw on alignment like a Boza because we do reach it at the same time. And I believe my opponent is going to double shield. And it's in that moment where I realize that they're weak to Dragonite. But that's fine. I'm going to come in with Wiggles. They are at the back-to-back right now. But I believe that I'm going to just rely in Feraligatr up 2 shields. Against Venusaur, I'm most likely going to get outpaced if they manage to swap out in time. They do. And I get outpaced right there. So I know an Ice Beam is going to KO. So I just have to overfarm a bit of energy, but also not leave myself too low. And I think they were 2 away. Maybe I could have done one more, but I was kind of concerned that fast moves would become an issue for Feraligatr, especially if they had an Ampharos. There is some stutter lag there, but we do manage to do our 4 and the move for proper timing, a 2-turn move against a 3-turn move. It looks like they're going to go for CMP. I wasn't going to fall for that. And I think then they're going to make it. They're going to try to make a catch. You see me almost go for the swap. It honestly wouldn't have mattered because we would have taken that game anyway. But when your fast move damage hasn't registered, you're not able to click your swap or your Pokemon to switch in because switching does take in a move. This person absolutely threw me off with their Decadui. I know this is Joy. But Decadui here is going to hit really hard with Spirit Shackle, and then I noticed that those Astonishes are actually chunking D-Knight. So my opponent is going to retain Swap, which is fine, or Wind Swap, which is fine for me. I don't really need alignment here, I don't think. Feraligatr up a decent amount of energy is probably the best case scenario, and in the moment I forgot that Wiggles is a normal type, so they probably would go for the Frenzy Plant, which is why you see me shielded immediately. And if they don't come in with Sylveon, then we're pretty good. I don't know Miss Magia's counts. Luckily for me, typically when I play, I have Pokemoves.com open, just on the off chance that I run into some madman using some sauce. I knew that they were 1 away because of that from their Dark Pulse, which is why I waited the turn to get this off. And at this point, I come back in, full send the Icy Wind, just to debuff them so that my Feraligatr can make it to another move, since they won't be able to farm me down. I believe my opponent was tilted, and so they top lefted by force closing the wrap. And so we're just going to charm down the rest of this Sylveon. GG's. All right. This is the second to last battle. I left this in because who the hell runs Zapdos? This madman. And I'm going to do exactly what I do with the Wiggles in the lead when I need to swap out. This isn't exactly an ABB style team. It's more like ABC. But I do need to swap out and lure whatever Wiggles might be strong to in the back. My opponent does full send the Thunderbolt here since they're only getting one move. And they have Kingdra in the back. So this is pretty good for me. Even if they don't shield, like, Wiggles is going to destroy this thing. Octazooka does like 25% damage. And, like I said before, my D-Knight is the bulky 2-ton Tubby Tupster Dragonite, other Dragon Slayer. And we managed to force a shield and also retain swap. We have Feraligatr in the back. I don't need to respect anything here. I'm going to outpace the 2 moves regardless in the ones, even up energy. They full send the Shadow Ball. I just need to watch for the catch. If I see the Incinerate come through, I do 2 Shadow Claws and make the swap. My actual lose con here would have been if they swapped in Zapdos and I panic swapped Wiggles, because then they could have overfarmed with their Skeledirge and possibly have won that game against me. But I think I still had a shield to my name. They come in with a Golisopod X-Scissor. The reason I didn't include this in the beginning is because this team and another team I faced, which I also didn't include because, like, there's no fun. I mean, it's fun for me, but it's not fun for my opponent to see that they're, like, triple hard countered by a Wiggles of all things. But they were core broken by Wigglytuff. Had they been rocking the proper moveset here, you see me counting those Fury Cutters pretty nicely. We do CMP or CAP with them to force them to make a decision. I do have enough health where I will make it to a Dragon Claw depending on what my opponent wants to do. I believe either they lagged or they conceded at that moment, but then they do shield and then they come back into the game. So I do think they lagged. It doesn't really matter. They come in with Feraligatr. I am 3 away from my Icy Wind, which means I will outpace to their Hydro Cannon. And at this point, it's GG's. The reason I went for the Icy Wind and not the Disarming Voice is I figured they don't want Wigglytuff on that Dragonite, so they're going to have to shield. If they called it, even if they did call it, I probably would have still came in with Feraligatr and just overfarmed a lot of energy because 2 Hydros would not have KO'd. Their switch timer is about to be up. I have 2 shields to my name. This game can go either way. It doesn't really matter. They stop tapping. I don't know why. And then they come in with their Dragonite. We do get off the Ice Beam, and this game is GG's. I like this team. If you are seeing way too many things ABA week 2 fairies, definitely go with Clefable. I had this built from the previous season, which I was trying to use to hit Legend. It didn't work out because then at the end, I was just getting hard counted left and right. But I do believe in this team. I would swap out Wigglytuff for Clefable and something else for Dragonite. I'm a massive fan for Dragonite. I'm going to try to hit Legend with it. But you don't have to be as mad as I am. So far, so good with this uploading once a week thing. We'll see if I can keep up this pace. Yeah, check out this video if you haven't seen it. It's really good, in my opinion. And also, check out this team, which didn't get nerfed and is still pretty solid in the Ultra League if you want to use that team instead. Peace.